I want to talk about fear today. And fear, 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 fear. Fear, in my definition, is the absence of love. That is what fear is. I look at this physical world as everything is either love or fear. And what does that mean? Like, it feels like I've just come to realize that it really is that way. Like, that is really how the reality works. And I want to, I think, explore this a bit more so that I can integrate it, my favorite word, integrate it a bit more. And why is it that fear or love is the reality? And what comes up to me is that if the ultimate truth is that our soul is part of a big collective, like every human is collectively in touch or in contact with every other soul, because they are all a separate expression of the whole self. If that is the truth that we live by and have, that would mean that to be in a state of completion is to feel the feeling of coming home with all of the souls, a connectedness to all of the souls. So basically a merging with all of the other parts of the self. So if this is completion, that is, it's reflected in the sense of we experience ecstasy, like we experience joy, we experience love, basically. And can be explained through science and so on, that we get rewarded when we are with other people. We get like oxytocin when we are close with other people, because we are our species is about groups. So we get rewarded, like biochemistry wise. Our bodies get a reward. We feel good when we are with other people. And my analytical brain wants to go in even further. Like, how do we know that we are one with everyone? Like, what is the proof? What is the fundamental, like, what is the receipts? I think these are the steps that, like, everyone really concerned with spirituality and seeking a higher meaning, like, we can recite these manuals that we've read in books and so forth, but like, we want to understand this, and this is the linear mind that wants to be able to compartmentalize our experience so that it makes sense, like 1 and 1 equals 2. And the thing is that feelings are hard to describe, because it always comes back to this. Like, I see it as language creates the barrier from our being, our just experiential being. And when we start to talk, or when we try to explain it in the narrative of our mind, we create a separateness, and then we create a disconnect, because we're basically taking apart the experience that is happening in our body and creating an alternative version of the scene that has happened, and adding context to it. We're making it complex. So when we are trying to dissect a situation with trying to understand what is happening and explaining the emotion, we are like straight away taken away from the moment and into our heads. So we are creating a disconnect from the present moment. And the joy that can be felt when we are connected with other people, maybe it is not something that can be explained in a sense with language. Like, we can't really explain the feeling of connectedness with other people more than just registering what is happening in our bodies using scientific language, just observing what happens. But we're not really explaining the why is that happening. But are we one? And are we one? Like, I know this, like, I feel like it is the truth, but still, like, there is this longing to really, really, really understand this and really feel like I can see that you are another version of myself. And I have glimpses where I feel like this is the truth with people. I have reflections. But maybe it comes down to that as well then, that maybe by using language I create a distance, but the felt love, when I am feeling love, being present in my body, I can feel that I am one with other people. So maybe it comes back to this, that it's not really explainable. It's just something we sense. We just sense love. Yeah. This feels like the truth. It does. So so maybe what takes us away from the felt loveness then is the fear of the separateness. And this is what it all comes back to then, that when we are, because there is a lot of things that puts this feeling of separateness onto us at a very early age, but also by our conditioning, where we are taught that we're conditioned to develop an identity so that we know our place in society, so we know what we can contribute with to be of service or to be productive. So everything is built up in a way so that we create this feeling of that we are someone, not that we are all the same. And this feeling can make us feel very lonely, because it's like, I think I want to talk about this as well. Because we are created to feel like we are our own unique person and that we are different, and that there is a conditioning like how you should be, and we are frozen from the group if we are showing our uniqueness too much. So we want to still go into like some form of status quo. Unconsciously we're driven that way because it hurts a lot to stand out. And it can all sound like words, but like if you really look at like movies, like childhood movies or teenage movies, you can really see, if you watch like a coming of age, or you get reminded of the intensity of school, you can really relate to this and realize that, wow, this really does change and shape the personality that we have developed. Like, some parts are okay and some are not. But what also creates this separateness is that if you believe in the, I don't think you have to believe, I think it's fact, but it's this philosophical view of the patriarchal upbringing based on different things, but very much like by religion and so on. But that has created also a distrust towards the feminine, which also really makes the gap between the love and fear even stronger. Because if everything in society is made up to lift up men and the search of power, and the softness or the receiving, that is the feminine, it doesn't have a place in society. If men are, for example, when they're in their feminine, as if we look at people as they have both the feminine and masculine qualities inside themselves, and this is like the healthy thing for a human, as we are a complete whole. And then we have maybe some more like prominent features, more masculine or feminine, regarding like, or depending on our soul's contract, what they're supposed to experience, but also like our conditioning, like our life circumstances, which are both intertwined but still. So like everyone has naturally the yin and yang, the feminine and masculine. And if we are taught that the feminine, if we're a man and taught that the feminine side of you should not be shown, like maybe you have had experiences where you started to cry for something, you started to cry in school when you were like 8 years old, and the other boys teased you about it, then you will learn that that is not accepted and you will push down that part. Or maybe it's like some subtle conditioning, that you notice that your dad doesn't show emotion, or you see in movies that guys should be strong, like the archetype of the hero saving ladies or princesses. So the feminine is suppressed in the masculine, and it could be the same for women, as the masculine qualities and attributes are very put on a pedestal, and has been for a long time. It can be this conditioning that you should strive for to be something. For example, you should accomplish things, you should be active, you should be confident, you should do and do and do. And that teaches you that when you are in your more receptive energy, that is not preferred. So you're not taught or modeled that the feminine has a place, and their place is praised. And it's the same with feelings there too. And I think this is the most ridiculous thing, and I've come to really be in awe of this phenomena. Because the thing is, when we cry and then apologize to people about that, I think that is so weird. Like, why would you be sorry for showing that you're human? It is very strange. And even women do this. And also the patriarchal influence of like the hysteric woman is a very thing for women, that we have shame about being too emotional, and we should control our emotions and not show it too much, because that is because it is threatening to men, as it's unpredictable. But the control of the feminine in our upbringing, but also the view we have of nature, because nature is also the feminine principle. So if we're not taught that we should feel a connectiveness to nature, to the forest, to the earth, to animals, for example, if we eat animals, that is not very loving. And there is a lot of people that have blinders on when it comes to what we are actually eating. They don't want to acknowledge that it's a pig, for example, or a cow. and they love cows or pigs, and when they see them they're like, oh my god, so cute. But then they eat it later. Like there's a really big disconnect from our accustomed habits and our actual principles, what we value. So our relationship to Mother Nature, Mother, and our surroundings as well. Like, is there a sacredness? Is there a gratitude for our earth? Or are we putting blinders on and not acknowledging mass destruction of the earth? Like, are we not not caring unconsciously because it makes us uncomfortable? That is basically like you're letting yourself down, because you are a reflection of the earth. It's all connected. You are the earth as well. And if you're not embracing that, if you don't feel a connectiveness and a gratitude and thankfulness for being here, there's gonna be a disconnect. Like, that is the disconnect. Because if you feel like a gratitude, you feel a sacredness, you feel a reverence for the earth, for what you eat, you will automatically feel like this is your home. But if you feel like the earth is imploding on itself, like the what you eat, you're like not, you're like holding your ears and just eating whatever food, and maybe you're eating like crap that's really lowering your vibration, and you feel fear, like everything is connected really. So the distrust towards the feminine is deeper than just your conditioning and not allowing certain parts of yourself, but it's also how your relationship to your surroundings. And this makes it a whole lot bigger, like the fear. Unconsciously, this will, if you don't feel like if you don't feel a place in the world, or you don't feel a connection to the world around you, then it's much easier to like fall back into a fear state. So if everything is either love or fear, and with your consciousness you register like cause and effect, you realize, when I think this way, I feel this way. And then when you have that thought consciously in your head, you're not just on autopilot, you realize that this is not what I prefer. And then you can choose love instead. You choose love. You choose, and I think this is also very easy to say, and I think you have to work a lot on your ability to be in fear, because if you're scared of fear, or if you are trying to do like a spiritual bypass, that you don't, every time you feel fear you're just distracting your mind, this will make it worse. So this is a concept, and just talking about the different causes can create some consciousness, but to actually feel fear and embrace fear, I think root chakra, like that keyword, really helps to know how to work with this. So the concept of fear and love is an intellectual concept, but then there has to be some work done also. And I think that's when it really comes in, this like the healing path of, we have to catch that fear. We have to catch the childhood versions of ourselves, because that energy, that emotional energy, happened when you're not so conscious of your surroundings, because you're just living your life and things are happening to you, and you're never taught that you even have power in this. You're just like reacting to whatever is happening to you. And then you're feeling emotions, because your emotions is your body and mind reacting, no, your body reacting to your mind. So if those emotions are awoken when you're young and don't have a developed brain yet, or a worldview, you're just trying to get by, and you adopted the shadow sides or things from your parents, you have a lot of energetic, stagnant energy in your body from your past memories that you haven't known that you could even transmute or get rid of or integrate or understand or so on. So this energy is begging for integration and begging to be alchemized. So what we can do is try to meet ourselves in that time with that memory, because it's a blessing to have a memory and also be able to recall certain memories. And what you're doing, because in the beginning it can be hard to reach some memories because maybe they're stored way down in our unconscious. But if you're starting to reflect more and get familiar with your unconscious and try to recall memories, close your eyes, don't let any of the other senses come into your mind, and try to really focus on a certain period. And maybe it will help to focus and think about like some place or like a item that you had that you liked, like a sweater for example, or a person, and maybe recollecting that memory with the help of other things will help you get in touch with that version of yourself, because you transform every day you transform, and you're trying to reach that past version of yourself that couldn't handle and didn't have enough tools to be able to go forward with their life because they were overwhelmed with fear and didn't know that you could choose love in that sense, like self-love, to help with your fear. So now we have to rewrite, we have to reprogram that parts of ourselves and let them go, release those old memories. You can still do this. When you do that and you show those past feared versions of yourself, once you like one by one explore them and invite a new system, a new way to help your past self, the triggering in the future, they will not be as paralyzing, the triggering moments in the future, because you've explored them again, so they're not as charged. And when you have, if you think about the fear memories in your body, you think like, maybe if we say that you to this state have in this day, like today, 100% memories of fear, and maybe like in 1 year you're working through trauma and memories that's very charged for you emotionally, and use different healing modalities. So maybe you're down to like, you've explored maybe 30%, and that will make you 30% less triggered when in situations unconsciously, and that will make you a bit more calm. And in this way we can work towards being able to choose more easily, because we're not getting triggered, and the triggeredness bypasses our consciousness because we're just realizing, oh, there's a similar threat to something that happened before, and then you are unconsciously in autopilot trying to save yourself, like fight or flight mode. And if you've worked on yourself, you're able to be calmer in a situation, and then with your consciousness choose love. I think that is what I wanted to discuss. It really helps to think about every situation as black and white, as with like either I'm in fear or love. It really helps me, at least. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are well, and I'll see you in the next one.